Hey everyone, Andrea here. We are doing a kidney adrenal awareness neurosensory exercise today. So before we begin, I want you to just tune into the ground under you. What that means is feel your feet on the floor and notice the earth supporting you. You can feel your bum in the chair. Make sure you have a comfortable place to sit or lie. If possible, having your back supported so you don't have to hold yourself up with your back muscles, and your core so that your legs can relax and be less engaged. It's up to you if you lie or sit. I'm going to do this exercise as though you are lying down. If there's anything you need to do to make sure that you are nice and comfortable now, it's a great time to do it. Tune into what you need. It could be that you need to grab a blanket or some socks or change the lighting, things like that. Whatever you feel you'll need to make this a bit more comfortable. So as you rest, as you tune into the floor, to the ground under you, notice the contacts that are most prominent in your awareness. Is it your legs, the pressure of your back against the surface? Is your head being supported by the floor or something else? Just take a moment to tune into that and allow your eyes to do what your eyes want to do. Do they want to close and be a little less engaged with the environment? Do they wish to stay open and connected, oriented and noticing the outside world? There's no right or wrong here. Just choose and feel, sense. Direct your eyes and do what they want to do. What does your nervous system want? How are your arms resting? Where are they? Are they comfortable? Then again, knowing that you can shift and change and move whenever you need to. And now you can start to bring your cognition, your awareness into your brain, into your thinking, that this idea of the kidneys and adrenals, that they are real. We don't often pay attention to them. Bring awareness to your kidneys and adrenals. Have a think about them. These two organs, they're usually about the size of our hand, if our hand was in a light fist. And on top of those, both of those kidneys, like little hats, are the adrenals. So it's possible for some of you that you may even have one kidney. So put the focus on what you have, whether it's one or two, but give a little nod to your kidneys, a little hello. And hello to the adrenal glands that sit on top. This is an exercise in visualization. You will see as we go through. Hopefully you can feel how good this is. Most of my clients do. So now, of course, everyone is different in their history and their experiences of stress, survival stress, traumas. So rather than me assuming what your kidneys are doing right now, I would invite you just to connect with them in this hello, this nod, and appreciate that they have worked for you. They've had to keep you in protection when maybe protection was needed through the secretion of chemicals, our stress chemicals for our fight-flight responses. They're also important for general moving about during the day. So it's not that we don't want these stress chemicals to come out, but for some of us, they've been working very hard, very, very hard over time, we could say. And to connect to the energetics of that natural, automatic, autonomic release that they've been given when you've been under threat or danger or stress. But in this moment, just honour, acknowledge, nod. It's possible that you've never considered your kidneys and adrenals. When those adrenal glands pump out chemicals and when our blood pressure is high, the kidneys are also taxed with high blood pressure. The filtration of the blood and the creation of urine, that's what occurs in the kidney organs. And then they sort of connect with one another. They're buddies in a way. So when one is taxed, the other is taxed, and vice versa. As I bring the kidneys and adrenals in their job, and we think about that, and maybe their overtime that they're given to you over your lifetime, let that flow into your awareness. And then come back to the ground and this basic nervous system awareness connection with the floor, the surface you're on. Take a moment to come back if you've lost that connection. Really let that ground or the chair support you. Can you, in many ways, allow your body weight as much as possible to really release into that connection with the environment? Is there something holding still? Holding you? You'd have to scan and tune in, a little self-awareness here. These are just some suggestions. It doesn't mean that's what's occurring, but to guide you. Is there a clenching at all in the belly, in your groin or your pelvis? Are your hips tight? They might be, but they might not be. Just tune in. What would it be like to consider letting that shift to unclench a little bit, to release? Is your head able to move a little bit? Can the head move just a little bit? Although, of course, you can do that with your eyes open, but to more feel the way that your head can just gently move a little bit, to feel the pressure change. If you have your head against the couch or the chair or the ground, give it a soft little gentle roll, nothing big, just millimeters, an inch at most. Is there any tension in your mouth and your jaw and your eyes? Then draw your focus back to this kidney-adrenal interface. If your hands are available, if it's possible to place them just under the chest area, that area would be between where your hips would be in the chest area, kind of where the belly is. Exactly putting them in a specific spot is not important, just somewhere on that front, what we might call our sides. And just tune into that hand contact. It's not to push or make pressure. It's just to connect and feel your hands on the front side. The left would be on the left and the right would be on the right. Just acknowledge that's where they are. Bring that focus there, making it slow, just the noticing. Bring your imagination through your system, knowing that behind those hands are within the body, under the tissue, the skin, the layers. Your kidneys and adrenals are back there. They're back there, and you may feel the contact between your back and the floor or the chair. And also feel that pressure and contact, and know that just in front of that contact are your kidneys and adrenals. So I'm offering 2 points of reference. And everyone is a little different in what invites them into their body easier. It could be that it's easier and more available to notice the back part of your body and imagine the kidney is just in front of that. And for others, it might be having the hands on the front there and imagining back into the torso, into this trunk part of our body, knowing our back there. It could also be that you have a bit of dual awareness with the hands on the front and feeling the contact with the ground on the back. There's no right or wrong. It's just to invite you to, in many ways, to notice the three-dimensional aspect of your body. This cylinder shape that's not quite a circle, it's a human shape. And to just, again, nod, say hello, invite curiosity into these organs. We're thinking about being relational with them. Acknowledge the chemistry, the chemicals that they've produced to keep you safe, how that's impacted your system, and how we can say in a gentle way without force, what might it be like to take a little break, to be a little less vigilant, a little less on guard. For others it might be, wow, you guys have been working hard, you're tired, I'm just going to acknowledge the fatigue. You might have the burnout, you might have the lack of flow and juiciness. I'll explain that in a moment. It could be both. It could be that the organs here, the fight flight, has been going at a high pace for so long and they're like, I can't anymore. And then they stop working as well as they can. That is the burnout of the adrenals. That is fatigue that often accompanies chronic illness and other troubles related to the nervous system. Just again, simple as it is, give a little hello, a little nod, an acknowledgement to their work, and then this idea of what might it be like to just be a little less on, or to give permission to just take a bit of a holiday. It doesn't mean that they can't do their job when there is a threat or a stress that comes up. But now, in this moment, when you're resting and bringing focus and attention to yourself and to your body, that they can just turn down and dial a little bit down, ease into this rest. And this more rest, digest, parasympathetic rest and digest state. and continuing to feel as if your hands are still on your front, that connection. And then, of course, repeat. It doesn't mean they can't do their job when there is a threat or a stress that comes up. But now, in this moment, when you're resting and bringing focus and attention to yourself and your body, that they can just turn down and dial a little bit down and ease into this rest, this more rest, digest, parasympathetic rest, digest state, and continuing to feel if your hands are still on your front, that connection, feel that connection. And then, of course, the ground beneath you, your breathing, pay attention to your breathing, feel your legs, how are they resting? Are they needing to move a little bit? Are they okay where they are? We still want to think about as well following our impulse. That means following what your body feels that it needs. Your eyes, are they open? Are they more interested in closing and being a little less active with the world, a bit more internal? Then come back to this idea of the kidneys and adrenals. And I want to offer a visualization, if you will. I mentioned a while ago that the kidneys and adrenals lost their juice, their flow, when they've been working so damn hard for so many years. Often for many of us, decades, and even our ancestries, and that past generational influence, these areas, these organs can kind of dry up a little bit. They become, in many ways, to use a reference from my learnings around this work, like a dried sponge. If you've ever seen a sponge that you do the dishes with, you wash, and then when there's no water in it, it's quite brittle, it's dry. You can, of course, replenish it and have it become moist and able to work again with the water. And so in some ways, we're wanting to restore the juice, the fluid, the flow, the sponginess and the vitality into this organ. These organs, these glands again. Sometimes the image of being in a gentle ocean with salt, or a pool of water, or a bath, warm, not too hot, but just enough that you can really sink in and let the water support you. And imagine, in many ways, how these kidneys and adrenals, if they were floating also with you, as they would be, they're floating and being supported by nice salt water, kind of this buoyant, juicy, healing container. Of course, our body in our internal state has electrolytes and the salts that we need. So that's why I think so often salt baths in the ocean can be so soothing, as it's matching our internal physiology in some ways. So to imagine, to visualize those kidneys and adrenals getting little drops of nourishment, little drops of hydration as you let them rest. Of course, our body in our internal state, we have electrolytes and salts that we need. So I think that's why so often salt baths in the ocean can be so soothing, as it's matching our internal physiology in some ways. So to imagine and visualize these kidneys and adrenals getting little drops of nourishment, little drops of hydration as you let them rest. As they rest, they fill up. As they rest, they restore and rejuvenate, but just a little bit. We bring in this idea of little bits at a time, little doses, a little bit of rest, a little bit of nutrition, a little bit of hydration, flow, and this capacity for them to rest so they can take in that nurturing, that less vigilant state. It's very hard for the body to repair and recover when we're in survival stress all the time. That's often why our bodies break down and our tissues and our organ systems and our adrenals burn out. So to tie that back to the time and consistency and really the continual coming back to these organs, these glands, these kidneys, adrenals, and their interface, and giving them that nod, that hello. Yes, you've been working so hard, and what would it be like to consider having a little break, a little holiday, a little nourishment. This idea of them bathing in some salt water and just soothing with this visual, this practice. There might even be emotion that comes through. So this is about remembering this is how simple the exercise is, just to visualize, to touch, to acknowledge. There might be other aspects of survival stress that are trying to assert themselves and stay dominant, which is often the case sometimes when we do this, and that's normal. We have to teach and let the system know, let's try this out. What would it be like to shift gears a little and be a little less on? But then also acknowledge when the system might kick back in and say, I'm not so sure, are you sure? Again, that's where this practice of coming back to this over and over again is important, because we need to gently nudge the system to believe and know, yeah, we can shift. And yes, the history might say otherwise, and let's keep nodding and saying hello and inviting, requesting a little less vigilance, a little less armouring, strain. To end this neurosensory exercise, just to connect again to the ground. Possibly you've been doing that already, but just to remind you that a sense of awareness as you move and start to shift to come back to your day, or maybe your day is over, just take time as you come up. Really pace yourself, continue to connect with the floor, the ground, reorient to the space around you, and even as you start to come to a more upright position or stand, to just gently, loosely have these kidneys and adrenals in your awareness. Of course, we don't want to have to pay attention to them all day long, but to know that you can connect and tune into them in little doses and say, hello, I see you, you're ramping up again, and potentially ask the question, do you need to? Maybe they do. Maybe there is a threat or a stress and they need to do their job. And then the question might be, this is an old pattern. Let's come back to the basics. Let's reground and invite them to consider a different option.